Okay, so we're going to talk now about Hart Crane's possessions, and it's more difficult than the Merlin poem. It's even more obscure. So he's shifting topics much more so than Merwin is. Well, actually, not all that much more. But the relation between the ideas is more difficult to see. And he has more of what I call false. So the false unit is a sentence that looks like it contains a subject with a predicate, but it really has a variety of subjects and predicates. Sure. Okay, so witness now this trust, the rain that steals softly, direction, and the key ready to hand. So the rain that steals softly, it doesn't really relate to direction and the key ready to hand. You see how that's a false unit?
Yeah, I think so.
So direction and the key ready to hand, it doesn't really modify the rain.
Maybe it says steal softly. Maybe it just kind of lulls a person into, and so they no longer have this specific drive or direction, maybe. Quiescence, passivity.
Yeah. Let's continue. So, sifting one moment and sacrifice the diarist through 1,000 nights. The flesh assaults outrights for bolts that linger hidden. All right. So, the flesh assaults outright for bolts that linger hidden. That doesn't really relate to sifting one moment and sacrifice.
Right. The flesh assaults outright for bolts.
So what I have so far is where we've got trust, witness distrust, rain stealing, searching, sacrifice, body attacks. But I should also point out that outright for bolts that linger hidden, I don't think that really relates, that adverb, I can't explain how that adverb clause modifies flesh assaulting.
Well, let's see. One moment. Through 1,000 nights, the flesh assaults outright the bolts that linger hidden. Could it be that sexuality, time and time again, tries to find some meaning or justification?
Well, let's read on.
Okay.
Because I have an interpretation. So.
Okay.
Oh, undirected as the sky that through its black foam has no eyes.
Right.
All right, so we got blindness, we got undirection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For this fixed stone of lust, accumulate such moments to an hour, account the total of this trembling tabulation. So I really kind of think here, accumulate such moments to an hour doesn't really relate to for this fixed stone of lust. And
accumulate such what is moments referring to the 1,000 nights previously, or the assaults?
Personally, I think what Crane is doing is he is purposely throwing in some words to just throw us off the scent.
Well, maybe, I'm not sure. Accumulate such moments in an hour, account a total of this trembling tabulation. It's almost like he's taking an assessment, oh good lord, what's the word I'm looking for? He's trying to incorporate all into a single whole, if you will.
Well, I should, let me just point out now that my interpretation of the poem is, the best I can do is, it's a lover who was cheated on.
Okay.
So maybe this account the total of this trembling tabulation is, he's making a tally of the harm that the lover has caused.
This person has done,
yeah.
Right.
Right now, you can't justify that interpretation, but I think...
But it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
It's a... Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. I know the screen, and that's... I just kind of discount. I don't have an explanation for it.
Right.
I know the screen. The distant flying taps and stabbing medley that sways, and the mercy feminine that stays as though prepared. So, just basically, all I can get from that is he knows mercy.
Could it be that, he's subject to all of these different lusts, the fixed stone of lust, but it says the mercy feminine that stays, so he's subjected to all this lust, all this torment, until he finds a lover. Hence, and the mercy feminine that stays as though prepared.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think when we read the whole poem, we'll see that In what way? If you were cheated on, mercy would play a role as you're thinking about forgiving them.
Or it could be that that's how it should have been. The lover's conduct should have been. Versus...
He hasn't given mercy, but he's thinking about it. He knows mercy.
Right. Or perhaps mercy was the standard that this lover should have held herself to before. Okay.
As far as... All right, he knows the screen. I don't have an explanation for that.
Okay.
Distant flying taps, also not an explanation. But stabbing medley, well, stabbing, so we got some violence. So he at least... He's familiar with the harms that
those could be. The stabbing medley could very well be the assaults of lust that we see a little earlier in the poem.
Yeah, or the knowledge of being cheated on.
Potentially.
Okay. All right. And I, entering, take up the stone, as quiet as you can make of me. Okay. So he's going to use this stone to possibly harm his lover or his lover's lover.
I take up the stone. If it's the stone of lust, then perhaps with this new lover, this young lady, he can take up the stone of lust, and it's no longer implacable. It's no longer something that he can't influence, versus influencing just him.
Okay. In Bleecker Street, still trenchant in a void, wounded by apprehensions out of speech. Okay, so... Rumors
of infidelity, maybe? Wounded by apprehensions out of speech?
Yeah.
Out in the street, out and about? Okay.
He's heard rumors that his lover is unfaithful.
Yes.
Trenchant, which means sharp.
Yes.
So it's sharp in a void. These pains are sharp. Okay. I hold it up against a disc of light. I turning on smoked forking spires.
Right. He's being tormented by this infidelity, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe the it refers to the stone.
That's what I think.
Yeah, and he's turning on smoked forking spires. That could be an image of pain.
Yeah, I think it's the possibility of infidelity, I think.
Yeah.
Which is the rumor on Bleecker Street.
The city's stubborn lives desires. So he's kind of saying, like, the citizens in the city, they have stubborn lives, including his lover.
The forking spires are the lives and desires of the city, of the populace at large, I guess.
No, I kind of think he's turning on a smoked... That's just the image of pain. It's just...
Right. But it's a pain that's compelled by the cities. Cities thrive on gossip, rumor, that kind of thing. And maybe that's constant circulation of rumor is what's causing him so much angst and uncertainty, that kind of thing.
Tossed on these horns, who bleeding dies, lacks all but piteous admissions to be split.
Spilt upon
upon the page whose blind sum finally burns.
Well, that refers back to the tabulation.
Yeah.
Right. So it says, bleeding on the idea of these rumors of infidelity, lacks but piteous admissions, so the unfaithful party has not confessed to these things. Otherwise, these admissions will be spelled out. It should be saying, yes, this tabulation of sins, of offenses, will be the case.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Record of rage and partial appetite.
Same thing.
Yeah, referring back to he's keeping a tally of his lover's infidelities.
Of course.
The pure possession, the inclusive cloud, whose heart is fire, shall come. He's saying that there's a cloud that's going to come. Perhaps that's going to be the vengeance. His lover is going to get their comeuppance.
Vengeance, or perhaps exoneration, because he will know for certain. He will have that certainty. And then the white wind, that certainty. White wind may be truth. Raise all but the bright stones wherein our smiling plays. So the lusts will be demolished, if you will. The lusts will not be left standing.
Right. The white wind raise all but bright stones wherein our smiling plays.
So, summarize.
Okay, so remember, the evidence that we have, our interpretation, we don't have all that much evidence for it.
Of course.
He never says...
This is exactly what the interpretation should be.
He never says, I was cheated on, I have a lover, I'm thinking about using this stone to beat them with it. He never says that.
Right.
All we can do is we can look at keywords. Trust. So let's just look at the keywords. Trust. Sacrifice.
Well, trust, I think, means that mutual covenant between lovers.
He could be saying, like, look at my trust. I was trusting you.
Right. Or that too.
So now, admittedly, we're cherry picking. We're cherry picking words out of the text.
Of course.
Somebody could come along and cherry pick some other words.
Yeah, far more officially than we are, of course.
If somebody wants to do that, we'll look at it.
Yes.
But right now, we just got trust, sacrifice, the flesh assaults, undirected, fixed lust is mentioned, mercy. I take up the stone. Apprehensions out of speech.
Yes.
Desires is mentioned. Tossed on these horns.
Yes.
Bleeding, death, rage, appetites, possession. So when you look at these key words, what do they have in common?
Yeah.
These words are usually used to describe affairs,
right.
Love affairs.
So I think what we have is the possibility of infidelity. Mm-hmm. There is no confirmation from the lover, perhaps even denial. Mm-hmm. And he's tabulating or writing down a list of all of these rumors and the implications of these rumors about her misconduct. And all that's needed is for her to confirm, really. Mm-hmm. Say she denies it entirely, but it's that unknown, that guesswork, that uncertainty, which is causing all this angst.
Yeah. So, okay, good. So now let's talk about whether or not we like the poem.
Yeah. I had to get, with poems this tough, I had to get my momentum going. Mm-hmm. Really. And my first impulse was, well, maybe this doesn't really have really much of a deep underlying meaning or theme. But I was rewarded. I read through it. I was able to discern. I don't want to use the term moral, but there was a point. There was a point to the poem, mm-hmm. And I think it was executed quite well. Now he drowned, didn't he?
Yeah, he
jumped off a boat. I think
jumped off a boat.
So I only say that because maybe this poem is reflective of some angst that ultimately contributed to that suicidal state of mind.
Well, he was also he hit on sailors. He liked sail. He was gay, of course.
Right.
He liked sailors.
In which case, I'm sorry. I kept saying using the term. I kept implying that the lover's female, but if you're saying that,
it could have been a male lover. Could have been a male.
That's fair.
He never says what the gender is.
Right.
But what's also interesting is that the night before, mm-hmm. I think what it says on the Wikipedia page is he made an advance, but he was eventually beaten up.
Oh, wow.
Like he made an advance against somebody that he thought was gay but really wasn't, so he was beaten up for it.
Well, And
then the next day, we don't know if he committed suicide because he didn't leave behind a note, but mm-hmm. he just said goodbye, everyone,
yes,
and jumped off.
Could it also, well then, if Hart was gay, as you're saying, then maybe that lends to a different interpretation of the poem. Maybe all of this torment is from societal disapproval, and then maybe the person this lover is not really admitting publicly or admitting aloud that he is in fact Hart Crane's lover.
But you got to find some text.
No, I totally agree.
That backs that up.
I totally agree. This is just speculation. I think it's another interpretation that could apply. Previously I was saying that there are these rumors of infidelity.
But I don't think in this poem he ever expresses the thought, my homosexual love is not recognized by society, and I'm
No. Homosexuality is not condoned by society.
Yeah, he never expresses that thought.
No, I realize. I'm just saying that perhaps that could be the spires, the horns that he's bleeding on, so to speak. It's possible. It's possible. But when I was reading this, my interpretation was that it was a female counterpart, and I think that there's another layer to it.
Okay, so he does have this word feminine here, and the mercy feminine that stays as though.
Yeah, but feminine is often applied to Feminine could also apply to a homosexual relationship, I think. You know, you have a person who's more dominant versus more submissive. I don't mean it in the sexual sense, but it's possible. Again, we don't know for certain.
Right. Okay, so as far as, to me, what I like about the poem is, again, it has a certain majesty to it. It has a majestic, lofty tone, and it has this mysterious feel where you can't quite figure out exactly what's going on, but you have a good idea.
Yes.
And it's challenging, and then when you feel like, aha, you've got it, it feels good.
Of course,
you get that aha moment.
There's a reward in that, sure.
Yeah. So that's all I have to say. Do you want to say anything else?
No. At present, I don't have anything else to say.